All right, here we go. We're starting a VOD review here for UncleGroypr. We can see he has some pretty radical armor. I'll say that just to start off. Should. I like it. All right, let's see if we can find a Slayer. All right. Yep, that's a Slayer right there on Origin. This is a good one to start off. Let's see the 16, 14, 3. That's his score. And I'm just going to continue on the same format I have with the previous two videos because I feel like it's a good format to have, you know what I mean? At least just to start off before getting too formal, you know what I'm saying? That you don't want formal to be formaling everything up. All right, so here we go. Boom, here. Front right, spawn. See where he goes. He makes it to mid right, meaning triple stacks left push, leaves the guy alone on right side. This guy kind of goes late, so right side's kind of cooked. Basically, it's almost guaranteeing them rockets right off the bat by splitting left. But putting a little bit more emphasis here on sniper, however. Depending on how the slays go, we'll see what happens. Oof, okay, looks like he noticed rockets, right? He's here, basement. Interesting choice. A lot of cover from rockets, so I guess that kind of came in handy there. Saved them from the rocket, and then he got killed by the second one. I would say just like right off the bat, it's probably best on the opening strat, right? Instead of banking, or for one, you know, just to stay lanes. So like if you're the front right spawner, or you know, take a second, see where everyone goes. If you see two people going left, then definitely be on right side, and then split on the right side depending on where this guy goes. So if he goes bridge, you go elbow. If he goes elbow, you go bridge. You know, easy stuff. So since he goes here, you'd go bridge, right? It'd be like, you know, check the other bridge. And notice that there's an AFK there. So you could either put shots into him or come over here and start fucking shooting shooting the guys that are going rockets. Or come in here and just like start tagging everyone, making sure your team knows what's going on. You know what I mean? Because like this right here, spot's not all that great, right? You can see it from here, bridge. At this point, if there was a bridge guy, he'd be here. He'd be able to shoot you. Maybe even just bank a nade off here, and it might maybe reach you. I don't know. And like you could be shot from this entire rocket street over here, you know. Their silver could be fucking coming up right here. Are you jumping up? They could sent one maze, and then that's when they would run into their first resistance to where you are is going maze, because the other teammates are on sniper side. Is that me? Hey, it's me. Yeah, I can tell my armor and I'm on the pyramid. Look at that. Fantastic. Look at me playing my lane perfectly. Anyway, so yeah, just future reference. You wanna choose your lanes. Let's go to a different life. Right here you die and you're about to spawn in. Boom. So right here you can tell by the map spread, right? Like you have one guy going left perimeter, that's me. And then you have like two people kind of center map, right? Meaning they're kind of out of play in terms of the decision that you should be making um, as to where to go in this scenario. Because like most of the time, check this out. If you notice that like your teammates are like center map, um, it's not to say you can't help them out, right? But like if no one's watching your flank, then that's your first priority. You want to be watching your flank. So at this scenario, I'd turn right. Um, make sure no one's about to kill your guy with sniper. Notice that he has sniper, and then come this way, right? Since this at this point, you're walking into a few different lanes that someone could pop out at, that an enemy player could pop out at. Right? You could be popping out of there, popping out of there, popping out of there. So you might even you have two options: either try to take it slowly, be ready to snap to an enemy depending on like where they pop out at, or seeing as you spawn so close to your teammates, just try to sprint past this check completely because you could kind of assume. I mean, they don't really have that part of the map controlled, like the top part, so there really could be an enemy like running over here. So honestly, yeah, right flank, best thing to do would at this point literally just be holding cave, because if you push up really, and there is a guy flying out there, and also let's say another guy flying out there, then you're fucked. No one on your team can help you. You know what I'm saying? Um, you gotta slide and isolate this fight or something like that. So the best thing to do here is either like just stay here, cave, check right flank. You know what I mean? Maybe even poke out here a little bit to get more angles on the map. But ultimately, you want to be watching the right flank in this scenario. And if the numbers on the map go down, or you know where they are, then you could like obviously, you know, push out to the elbow, secure the perimeter. Perimeter is something that like you always need, because at this point, right, you pushing left, we're all four now on the same quadrant of the map, and the flank isn't checked. So if any one of the enemy team, let's say this guy, goes elbow, y'all are everyone on this team is fucked because no one's watching the elbow. Okay, this guy's going to watch the elbow. So at that point, right, like check this out. If you were to have turned right instead of going left, you'd be looking elbow, right? And then you see this guy looking elbow. And now that he's pushing the right flank, you see him pushing like bridge, right? You can start flying elbow without worrying about the bridge angle, right? And then trusting the two people on the left side to have their side kind of covered, right? Because now that this guy's going bridge, he could cover this guy, right? If this guy needs to like stay in cover from someone on the middle, right? And you can go perimeter, which is obviously what you would want to do if you were to retain map control, attain map control. You know what I'm trying to say? Secure the map for your team, map presence. You know what I'm saying? This guy's here, this guy's here, this guy's here, and then you would be all the way over here, and then you would literally own this entire segment of the map that's on the screen right now. Your entire team would just own this. It's from corner to corner. See how like there's a left corner, and then there's the cave, which is the right corner. You would own this entire half of the map if you were to have gone elbow. By not going elbow, that space on the map that you would have owned, which is, let me try to draw it again. This right here is now reduced to this right here. So it's a lot less. You know what I'm saying? So we have less of the map, which in turn gives the enemy team a lot more of the map. And just because of that, right, they have more. This guy, by pushing elbow, right, if he does, he could basically get the flank on this guy for free, suffocate our spawns, and then work with this guy that's pushing like bottom mid to fucking, you know, help push our left or our flank that's open, which is what you would be covering if you were there. So definitely, you want to play at least like until you hit like Onyx and shit like that. Even then, right? You always want to play like kind of standard strats, because it's a lot easier for your team to read your what you're doing on the map, and to play off of you if you're just like playing kind of like obvious plays. You know what I mean? The thing that makes just the most sense on paper. All right, right here, boom. So check this out. This is a strange spawn, right? Like you might think, oh, my team is all away from me, right? And you're right, your team is all away from you. So that being said, if we were to go, you know, the four positions, right? Like far left, mid right, and far right. Only one of them's technically covered, which is like mid right, because I'm there on the BR. And even then, right, I'm kind of hopping around, so it's like you're pretty much a solo spawner in this scenario. So you want to be not worried about mid-map almost at all, unless there's literally someone pushing you from mid-map immediately. Your first instinct in this scenario, right? Let me try to fast forward to it again. Your first instinct in this scenario is to have map control, right? So how do you take the most map presence for your team? So seeing as like you see how where your reticle is pointing, that kind of cuts the map in half, right? Um, like this is your line of sight right here, which is this half the map, and then on the other half, you know, on the other side is like this. So that cuts the map in half, and so you see there's three blue guys on the right side of the map, or on the right side, the right half, meaning that the left half is empty. So you want to go left side. You know what I'm saying? It's pretty simple, but so that tells you what lane you want to go to. It gets a little bit more complex when you actually start executing, right? Because you don't want to just like fly the lane and just like run around the entire map. You know, you obviously want to be dynamic in your approach to the situation. But the lane that you should be playing in this scenario is left perimeter, 100%. So this being the case, right? What I would do, you know, check the scoreboard, make sure that you know, check the numbers on the map. If we have numbers, then, you know, definitely fly, of course, you know, help your team out, get map presence or whatever. If they have numbers, play a lot more slowly, but still play the lane, you know, maybe even come here for cover, right? And wait for a teammate to spawn in. You know what I'm saying? So that's definitely. And then if that happens, right? Like, let's say they had numbers. Let's say it was just you and me on the map, and the other two teammates were dead, and the enemy had like all four alive or whatever, right? And you respawn here, and you go left. You check the scoreboard, and you see that being the case, right? And a teammate spawns in your line of sight. So like, let's say a teammate spawns right there while you're pushing this way. That right there means that you're no longer the left perimeter guy, because that guy is further left than you are. So that means that you would have to switch. So then you would now be the right perimeter guy, until if that guy crosses your crosses into the right perimeter, you know what I'm saying? Or like say like if he runs mid map, then you would just try to be trying to juggle like everything, right? You would like kind of stand back here, watch both perimeters and mid map until another teammate spawns on either the left or the right side, and that would dictate whether you would go left or right. You know what I'm saying? You always want to be reacting to your teammates more than to where the enemy is. So let's see. Okay, here, yeah, you went left perimeter. That's good. That's good. That's perfect. And then you see that guy. Ooh, I wouldn't have jumped down for him. You got the kill though. That's nice. Yo, there's a guy next to you, dog. No. Oh, that was painful to watch. It's alright, man. It happens. It happens to the best of us. So check this out, right? You notice this guy out of the corner of your eye. But, jump. The jump is fine, but pressing forward to where there's no ground and you have to fall all the way down here to fight him, I would say that's not the best scenario. Best scenario here is you retain high ground. Try not to lose your high ground. You know what I mean? So there's a few different ways you can approach this, right? You could either like try to just stand on the railing right here, you know what I mean? Have an exit, which is this right here. You would be like, you know, peeking, either walking forward, you know, bouncing a nade, or like maybe walking backwards. Or you come over here, jump, bounce a nade, land on this thing, and then try to do it this way, you know what I mean? So that now you can fucking jump on this platform and get up here if you need an out or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Maybe even retreat, because you don't know how, like, where the enemies are on the map. They could just pop out at any time. So you could like retreat, maybe even down here, you know what I mean? Take the fight like here, because this thing provides a lot of cover. Or also like back here, you know what I mean? Use this thing as kind of like a peak fire ledge. Maybe fucking even come up on top of this thing. You know what I'm saying? These are all different options that you could be doing. But jumping down is, I would say, unnecessarily risky. You ended up getting the kill, which is good, but I think you shouldn't have had to jump down in order to make that to chow that angle. And then this guy, unfortunately, I guess he was in the perimeter. You just didn't see him. He was one shot too. It would have been an easy kill. It happens. All right. Boom. Let's see. Boom. Okay, here. This is a spawn. A lot of people don't know what to do in these scenarios when they spawn under trench on this map. You got to think of it like bases, kind of, right? Like this is red base, this is blue base, right? So technically, you're in the red base's spawn still, but you're so close. You may as well be center map. You know what I mean? Um, so this being the case, your immediate reaction might be, I'm in a vulnerable spot. I need to get out of here immediately. And you would be like scrambling to get an advantage. And since this thing's in front of you, you'd jump forward to pick that up. Maybe try to clamber up here and then figure out. You never panic when you're in this scenario. Don't do that. So don't scramble. What you want to do instead is get a feel for like what's going on the map first. But honestly, like it's even best in these scenarios, like to not even move really until you figure out what's going on. You know what I'm saying? Like like what's on the screen right now, you could tell that like I'm me, UncleGroypr, I'm over there. So I'm taking the attention of whatever enemies are on that side of the map. And then on the right side of your screen, right, you see on the top right, there's blue dots. So you could see that those are where your teammates are. So the empty side of the map is kind of your left side, right? So that's really what I would be playing for is map presence. So because of the fact that the two teammates, like first I would turn, because just judging from the dots, it's kind of hard to tell exactly where the two teammates are. So I would turn this way a little bit, right? See that guy's up on top of the catwalk looking at Blue Elbow. So I would know, okay, one, both teammates are to the right, or I guess the other guy's dead. Yeah, since it's an empty circle, means he's dead. So that one teammate's there, other teammates there, meaning you have your left side is pretty much your best bet in terms of map presence. You know what I mean? Like your safest route is probably the right side, you know what I'm saying? Because your teammate's right there and you could probably like get help or whatever. But you don't want to play not to lose. You want to play to win. You know what I'm saying? So like the best bet is to, I would say honestly, like try to be pushing towards like Blue Elbow here. One, because of the fact that like you might be able to clean up some damage if I die on enemies on like blue base. And two, if you do run into an enemy, right, you would immediately have like map presence, and then the enemy would have no idea what to do unless you know they were like able to perfectly read the scenario, which would be you'd be applying pressure, which makes it a lot harder for them to read that scenario. You know what I'm saying? While doing so, because of the fact that you spawn down here, there's likely someone in a red base. Yep, look at that. One of them is a red cave. So you want to be careful when pushing blue because there might be someone that can see you like red trench area. You know, hypothetically, like if there was someone on red side. So honestly, like at that point, right? Yeah, it takes about a second to like get a feel for that. You know what I mean? Like it's like, okay, teammate there. I have cover Blue Elbow. Pick this up. Curb slide. The reason you pick this up, I mean, for one, it's right there, but two is so that the first thing that you want to be paying attention to when you go this way is to make sure that you're able to get out of like if an enemy is pushing red trench or like red bridge or something and has a sight line on you from red base, you could immediately thrust backwards into cover. You know what I'm saying? Or like forward, depending on like how close you are to cover on that side. So you try to curve slide here, right? Come up here. Maybe even clamber up here or like fucking, you know, go Blue Elbow. You know what I'm saying? Like you have options, but generally speaking, the left side of the map is where you want to be playing at. And especially because of the fact that like I just died at this point on that side of the map and a teammate is pushing that side of the map, Blue Elbow is definitely now the way to spawn in. So I just fast forwarded it and then switched people. Where you at? Okay, so like right here, boom. Perfect. I like it because of the fact that like this guy pushed up. That means that like there's you got a lot of help on this side of the map, so it's good. But also be cognizant of the fact that like you have a thrust and there could be someone on the other side, you know, that could be like shooting you because of the fact that like I'm there, so I'm muddying the spawns on their team. and there's a lot of open space behind you. You want to be aware of the open space on the map, basically, is what I'm trying to say. And take it into account. Don't just like dismiss it. It's like, oh, it's empty. Unfortunate that happened. I wanna go and like do it like step by step here, right? By taking this route, right? By pushing this guy, open space on the map is left open on Blue Elbow. So that being the case, that leaves that spawn open for the enemy team if there was one that was pushing like Blue Elbow. Since you still don't know that like where the other two guys are. One's Red Cave, other guy now just spawn like Red Base. But like, you know what I mean? Just be careful of that open space. Always be aware of that. And you want to take it as much as you can. So honestly, like, I wouldn't chase this. Because, like, the fact that if this guy that got around the corner, right, like, he's already, like, pretty much all the way over here. If you chase this, right, he could get over here and around this corner before you're going to be able to kill him. So at this point, like, chasing this guy is a lost cause. You know what I'm saying? So honestly, I would just take map space at this point. So I would just like turn around, you know what I mean? Maybe fucking fly elbow if you want. But like there might not even be a need to fly elbow, but yeah, at least trench. So that you could check that like there's no enemy pushing this way. And then you like pre-nade rockets and come up here. Get up on this thing, you know what I mean? Get like some map awareness. But yeah, definitely you don't want to ever chase. Never chase. Because, yeah, that you ended up falling into that guy's trap. Alright, let's look at the last life here. See how that goes. Boom, right here. Okay, perfect. Look, this is a good example of like a map spread, right? It looks like your team has good spread, but that it looks can be deceiving. Because like, as you can see right on your screen, right? Both of your perimeters has an enemy in it that that guy's about to die, but like you can't notice that like immediately off the bat. So both your teammates have an enemy in it, and your team is pretty much like kind of pushed more towards the center of the map. So you might be thinking like, oh, they're spread out, so I have a lane there right here on the bridge, right? But like that's actually not exactly the case because your right perimeter isn't covered, right? The people like on your right side, they're still on the right side of the map, but they're not covering the right perimeter. And Rockets is coming up in 4 seconds. So the first thing I would do, honestly, because Rockets is coming up in 4 seconds, is to try to just like set up for those Rockets. So I would immediately be like flicking to that guy and just like maybe even trying to crouch and put bullets into him. You know what I mean? Or like maybe use that as like a peak fire fucking wall. And then just like push elbow just to get a sight line on Rockets because that's a massive point on the map. But let's say Rockets wasn't coming up, right? You would still be careful about your right perimeter here. But what I would do, right, is back up for a second, block him out, isolate this fight since he's also on your screen until he dies, and then re-peak that fight. Because the fact that like your teammates are here and you know that this guy's probably going to drop on them. So that's the scenario that I would do if Rockets weren't coming up. But since they're coming up, right, that means that like you got to put extra priority on that. And just like be aware that that enemy might not die and might kill your teammate. So be looking at the kill feed. And if the kill feed while you're going over here, if the kill feed says that your teammate died, then, you know, while backing that guy up, if you're like locked onto that guy shooting him, continue the fight until you get the 5-shot kill if you can. But let's say he goes behind cover, then you want to snap over here for a second, you know, pre-nade, and then try to isolate the right side again by taking the cover and blocking that side off, and then refocusing this way. You know what I'm saying? So that's what you would want to do in that scenario, roughly speaking. Let's see. Okay, kept your teammate alive on the left side. The enemy did actually drop on right side and abandoned rockets. So now your team has kind of more rocket control than they do, although they have more numbers on the map at this point. And now there's 2 of them pushing elbow. So it's good that you're looking at rockets. And then you see the guy. But where'd that other guy that was pushing elbow go? He went underneath basement. So he's gonna go back and shoot you in the back. Or try to. Yeah, look at him. He's going into blue base. Now since he jumped for the rockets, ooh, that was actually nice. Not gonna lie. Kind of got lucky a little bit, not gonna lie, but I mean, you know, you got the kill and it was good, so it worked out. I would say just the main thing, just I take away from that is you want to be really careful about like, jumping and sacrificing your map advantage, you know, your height control, because rockets was there, right? I mean, you did have a teammate there that could have gotten it. So honestly, I wouldn't have jumped for this. You know what I mean? If anything, be bait for it so that the teammate can get it at this point, right? So you like block here because you have two enemies there. So like, if they were both looking at you and they were half decent shots, you'd be dead before you hit the ground. Especially before you get the rockets. You know what I'm saying? So I would honestly be taking cover here and then like cognizant of the fact that like you're about to die. You know what I'm saying? So what's the score at this point? Can I see it? 49-42. Yeah, you're fine. Even if you died, like that would give your team more time to get the rockets and the spawners more time to do something. You always want to be thinking about like, you know, what's best for the spawners on your team as well. So yeah, main takeaway, just take a little bit more slowly. Play your lanes, right? Like off a spawn, off a respawn. Off of every respawn, you know, just take a breath, take it slow, figure out the map layout, and then make a play. You don't ever want to like spawn and rush unless like you're very, very coordinated and confident that you could actually make something happen if you do that. And like already know what's going on the map and whatnot. I would say, yeah, that's just the main takeaway. And also just don't drop from height advantage. That's point number 2. Yeah, that's about it.